Been a member since 2010 when my beautiful, now young adults, Tate and Simon and I moved here, and I love UU Amherst. Welcome to this beloved community, which we call UU Amherst. We are so glad that each one of you is here today. If you're a newcomer, we hope you'll keep coming back and make your spiritual home with us. For those of you, like me, who've already made UU Amherst your home, we hope you will continue to challenge yourself to grow and to help us live out our aspirations of beloved community. Please join us directly after service for coffee and conversation in the Emerson room, directly behind this space. You can get there one of two ways. We're a community of many ages and stages of life. We have assistive hearing devices at the usher station and childcare and activities all at the back of the chapel. Children and youth are invited to leave following the Time for All Ages with Reverend Michelle to have some multi-age fun and value building and then return for the last song and announcements. For those who are gathered in this space in the chapel, I urge you, implore you, to either place your phone on airplane mode, like I did, mine's on airplane mode and turned off in there, or turn it off completely to free up web bandwidth to make sure that the live stream is there. Those of you who are on the live stream, I've been there when it's been clunky. We're trying to get people to help make sure that you have the greatest experience that you can. So please, please take care of your phone. It is our custom when we gather to light a chalice. The chalice is a cup or vessel that symbolizes our gathered community. The flame represents the spark that each one of us brings to represent the light of truth, the warmth of community, and the fire of our commitment to bring more compassion and justice to the world. It is at this point that we usually cite familiar words as the chalice is lit. Today, in the spirit of pluralism, we bring to this gathering the words and wisdom of Reverend Julianne Lepp. So you might have to look to make sure that you're going to get the words right. We seek our place in the world and the answers to our heart's deep questions. As we seek, may our hearts be open to the unexpected answers. May the light of our chalice remind us that this is a community of warmth, of wisdom, and of welcoming multiple truths. Each week as we light the chalice to symbolize the gathered community, we also acknowledge that our church and other spaces that we have control over here is built on holy ground, land that was nurtured and cultivated by the first peoples who occupied it before us. So we offer this libation as our giveaway, a symbol of our respect for and deep connection with the land.
Morning. I'm Reverend Michelle Buhite, the minister of this congregation. My pronouns, which I offer to create a truly inclusive and brave space for all to live into the fullness of their identities, are she and her. I've left up the slide about acknowledging the land. You might be wondering why there's a turkey there. It's because there are turkeys on our land. And we've been watching the wild turkeys, being startled by them when they do their gobble, gobble, gobble quite loudly right behind us. We also, this weekend, saw a buck and a doe, not like, oh, they're far off in the distance, like a buck and a doe. Don't be afraid. But a milk snake crossed the path. I'm sure that's auspicious. If you're afraid of snakes, pretend none of that just happened. You can still go out back. They don't want to see you. So it's really a surprise and a gift when we get to see all of our wildlife, all of it. And now I invite you to take a breath. Settle into your seat, whether you have chosen one with cushions or one without. Settle in, feel your back against the back of that seat, feeling supported. This is how we truly arrive into this circle of love and care, by taking a moment to get here. Perhaps you've peeked at the sermon title and are feeling a little anxious. What does pluralism even mean? Relax your shoulders. Let them sink slowly. There should be distance between the bottom of your ears and the top of your shoulders. Newsflash. So let them sink down and breathe. As I share an invocation, you may want to close your eyes. Maybe you want to soften your gaze. Look out the window. There's nothing to see up here, just the sound of my voice and the rise and fall of your own breath. That which holds all. Because she wanted everyone to feel included in her prayer, she said right at the beginning several names for the holy. Spirit, she said. Holy One, Mystery, God. But then, thinking these weren't enough ways of addressing that which cannot be fully addressed, she added particularities, saying, Spirit of life, Spirit of love, Ancient Holy One, mystery we will not ever fully know, womb, witness, great kindness, great eagle, eternal stillness. And then there wasn't any need to say the things she thought would be important to say. And everyone sat hushed until someone said, Amen. We're going to do a little bit more than that for the rest of the service. We're going to use that breath to sing. So our song of intention can be found in your gray hymnal on page 188. The words will be up front. For many of our long-timers, this is a fairly well-known hymn. Let's call it a song. Hymn sounds like I should be up here wearing a robe or something. Oh, wait. More about that later. So what we're going to do, because so many probably already know this song, and it is so easy to learn, that I feel quite confident that we will be able to accomplish my greatest wish, which is to sing it as a round. You knew that was coming. Okay, so James is going to play the melody once, and then we'll sing it 2 times together, and then we're going to sing it as a round for an undetermined number of times until we stop. Okay, so James plays, we sing it together twice, and then I will direct around. Linda, would you mind, once I abandon this group, come on up so that you can guide them. Not abandoning. Once I release this group into the fullness of their abilities. Okay. Go ahead, James. Now, before you sing it, I want you to feel that inner pulse. Did you feel that? Cha, cha, Did you feel that? Come, come, whoever you are. It's got a little waltz feel. If you can feel that Viennese waltz, then you won't get lost when we break it off and sing around, because you will still feel that internal cha, 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 cha. If I had a tuba, it would not be a Viennese waltz. I'd be wearing lederhosen, and we'd be somewhere in the Alps. So, I guess we'll waltz a tiny bit slower. First note, please. Here we go, and come, come, whoever you are, wanderer, worshiper, lover of leaving, ours is no caravan of despair. Come, yet again, come. Here we go again. Come, come, whoever you are, wanderer, worshiper, lover of leaving, ours is no caravan of despair. Come, yet again, come. This side starts. About that. Wonderful singing. And now you know why I love singing rounds so much.
The Persian poet Rumi challenges us. Come, come, whoever you are, wanderer, worshiper, lover of leaving. Ours is no caravan of despair. Come, yet again, come. And we come from rich heritages of liturgy and pomp. We come from burning legacies of angry gods and threats of hellfire. We come just as we are.
We come with exuberant and joyful hearts, eager to witness to others. We come bereft of the goodness of life, wondering, hesitant. We come just as we are.
We come in the bloom of youth, ready to explore new truths. We come ready to sit apart from our children and be nourished for an hour. We come gray in our hair and experiences to share. We come just as we are.
We come to the place we never knew before was home. We come to the place that has been home for most of our lives. We come just as we are to join our siblings as members of one family in this beloved home, our hands and hearts outstretched. Come, yet again, come.
We are a beloved community, a gathering of people who have chosen to journey together, to encourage one another, to be part of something important and life-changing. Because we aspire to be such a people, we make bold promises about how we will be with one another. Whether today is your very first time or you've made UU Amherst your longtime home, you are invited to share in our sacred promise. Together we promise to gather in compassion and community, to celebrate diversity of thought and unity of spirit, and to seek wholeness for ourselves, our children, and our world.
Each week, we bring our whole selves into this beloved space, beloved place, among beloveds. Even if you're here for the first time and you're thinking, these are not my beloveds, yet, let's just add yet. Because this is a place where we can bring the wholeness of ourselves, our joys, our concerns, our disappointments, our hopes. And the way that we symbolize that is to come to this table, which is at the heart of the community, and to place a stone or a shell on the table labyrinth, which in itself is a symbol of the journey inward and then the journey back out into the world. But we come, we make ourselves vulnerable. We come. And so I invite you to come. We pause to remember that this evening at sundown begins Yom HaShoah, the Day of Remembrance, as our Jewish neighbors commemorate the 6 million Jews murdered in the Holocaust and the heroism of survivors and rescuers. We pray that this year's remembrance touches hearts and inspires a ceasefire and an end to the brutalities of war among the Semitic peoples. We hold them in our hearts with great hope. James has been playing the tune to this song, I Know This Rose Will Open. Think about how that applies to you. What bud is tight, needing to open. Think about it in relation to the wider community, to world events. Maybe that rose is hope. Maybe it's peace. Just maybe it's love. We're going to sing this through just twice. Here we go. I know this rose will open. I know my fear will burn away. I know my soul will unfurl its wings. I know this rose will open. I know this rose will open. I know my fear will burn away. I know my soul will unfurl its wings. I know this rose will open. Because we are a congregation at all ages and stages of life, we create moments of multi-generational fun and learning built in right into the service. So today I'm going to share with you a story, a retelling of a traditional Franciscan story, The Wolf in the Woods. In a village far away on the edge of a dense forest in northern Europe, there lived a small, contented little community. There was no crime, and so no need for police. Nothing much ever happened, so really no need for newspapers. But a night watch person used to walk around the village every night just to make sure that no danger was lurking. Imagine the consternation, therefore, when one morning the villagers awoke to find the watch person lying in a pool of blood. And all the evidence pointed to a wolf being the culprit. A wolf, the villagers cried. Surely this can only be the work of a wolf. Well, they buried the night watch person, and weeks passed by, and eventually the villagers became a little less vigilant, until, that is, the wolf visited them again one night and seized an old granny who had been out late to bring in her washing. A few weeks later, a young mother was taken, eaten on her way home after visiting a friend. It would only be a matter of time before a child was taken. So the villagers called a meeting. Now it happened that there was a wise old man who lived in a hermit's cave just outside the village. That always seems to be the case, doesn't it? There's some wise old person that's on the edge, kind of in between. There's a theological concept there. So the people called to him for help. Please rid us of this terrible scourge. They begged him, and they had their own ideas about how that he might help them. Kill the wolf for us, someone asked him. Show us how to surround ourselves with a high fence so that the wolf won't be able to reach us, others pleaded. Turn the wolf into a cuddly lamb that we can tame and pet, was the request of a third group of villagers. I'll see what I can do, the hermit said. And that very same night, he waited until it was dark, and then he ventured all alone into the dense forest. He walked and he walked until he could feel the wolf very close to him. He could hear its breathing and see the glint of its eyes in the darkness. And those eyes were hungry. And for a moment, the wolf and the hermit just stared at one another, and it seemed like they were having a very deep conversation. And then the hermit returned to the village unharmed. The next day, the villagers crowded around him. "Did you kill it?" some of them asked. "Will you show us how to build a fortress?" others pleaded. "Have you turned it into a woolly lamb?" demanded the rest. The hermit shook his head. "It's much simpler than that. You only have to feed it." At first, the people were aghast. "How can we feed it?" they asked. "Why should we feed it?" they complained, "after all the harm it has done to us." But after a while, at nightfall, when they heard the pad, pad, pad of the wolf's feet as he prowled through their streets, they would push bowls of food outside, at first fearfully, and I will say, resentfully, and then more confidently. And soon the wolf was a nightly guest. He never again harmed a hair on their heads, and they were proud to be known throughout the land as the village that feeds its wolf. What a strange story. Feed the wolf? I'm going to play Phil Donahue in a moment. For those of you who are old like me, you know exactly what that means. For those of you who don't, you've just learned a thing. Okay. So I have 2.5 minutes to jog around. I will hold. Do. So we can't use this one after all. Oh, I could turn mine off, eh? Cha cha cha. Hey. Okay. Technology is a beautiful thing, and I am a fairly quick learner. Oh, turn it off? Okay, I can do that. So, back to the wolf. If this is a story chosen to be about pluralism, so quick recap, people live in a village, they're all kind of friends, they all know each other, don't need police, no harm, da-da-da-da, wolf, bad wolf, comes in, eats. Hermit goes out, has a telepathic conversation apparently, and then comes back and says you need to feed the wolf. Without going into your deepest theological or, I don't know, literary meanings, how does that feel in your belly to feed that which has been harmful? And I will jog to you so you can say these things in a microphone.
Feels empathetic.
It feels empathetic. Empathy. To feel with, not for.
I'll be honest, when you read the story, kind of like that first real feeling kind of made me feel sick.
Legit. Yeah. Like, what are they thinking? Ugh, yeah. Almost feels threatening, doesn't it?
It's something, at first it felt very wrong.
Felt wrong. At first. Anybody else want to play Phil Donahue? I'm here.
It all depends on which aspect of that wolf you feed.
I promise I didn't send him the sermon ahead of time. Okay, so it's an uncomfortable, at least first glance or first feeling, and we'll talk about it more. Now, I would like to invite our children and youth to go to their programming. Do you have that open? Yahoo. So if you'll give us like the first phrase, and then we'll start singing. Here we go. Go in love, our hearts go with you. I know you've been wondering about why I'm wearing a robe today, since I'm usually a bit more casual. I usually only wear a robe when we're doing something ceremonial. But I thought since I'm going to be talking about weighty matters, perhaps the robe would lend me some gravitas. And not necessarily how you see me, but how I feel myself. A little extra dose of courage to venture into the world of theologians and institutions. If seeing me in a robe is making you itchy with memories of other religious traditions, I want you to know that there is room for that itchiness, that discomfort here. And just breathe, just notice, and then breathe some more. The photo on the screens of a man in a very austere-looking robe is actually Francis David, who is one of our Unitarian ancestors from Transylvania. We have the best history. And he's clearly preaching, you know. And he is the one that it is attributed to for saying, we need not think alike to love alike. And that is the essence of pluralism. If you were here last week, you may remember that in this faith, there is both freedom of the pulpit and freedom of the pew. Even though I may appear a bit ecclesiastical, churchy, you are under no obligation to agree with everything I say, or anything I say, even when I'm wearing a fancy robe. My offering this morning is simply an invitation to think about some things. And today we are thinking about pluralism, which happens to be the Soul Matters theme for this month. I recently read a Substack post from a colleague who had attended a UU worship conference, and this colleague summed up the basic idea of various presenters in 1 or 2 sentences per presentation. One of the presenters was quoted as saying, "We need theologians in the pulpit, not self-help gurus." I will admit that my inner petulant voice demanded, theologians? What theology? Whose theology? In a tradition that celebrates many paths that is intentionally pluralistic, which theology wins out? Is heretic a theology? After a bit of metaphorical stomping around, my inner petulant voice quieted down enough for me to hear that still small voice suggesting that perhaps pluralism is a theology. I don't know if that is an answer, much less the answer, but it resonates with me. Pluralism is an attitude, a construct of inclusion. It has some ground rules, and it's invitational. Oh boy, I don't know about you, but abstractions are a bit abstract for me. And so let's get personal. In addition to being a minister, I am a spiritual director and dream worker, as well as wife, mother, and grandmother. Before those roles, I was the manager and activities director of a racket club. Random. A professional puppeteer, that makes more sense, a director of puppetry, a community educator, a shelter and outreach coordinator for a domestic violence agency, a college instructor in several different areas of study, an office administrator, a theater director, a religious educator, and the first director of the Lucy Desi Museum, and a private vocal instructor. One person, many aspects. And that, my friends, is pluralism. Our closing hymn this morning, no. I have a little more to say. The Oxford Dictionary defines pluralism as a condition or system in which two or more states, groups, principles, sources of authority, etc. coexist. So you know the bumper stickers that say coexist and have all the religious symbols on them? That's drive-by pluralism, right? In the proposed changes to the principles and sources that guide Unitarian Universalism, pluralism is identified as one of the core beliefs, along with justice, equity, transformation, interdependence, and generosity. In this model, these core beliefs are held together by love at the center of it all. Our current principles and sources, the ones that are printed in the gray hymnal, have guided our faith since the mid-1980s, although our theological beginnings go back to the earliest forms of Christianity. Unlike other faith traditions that also have origins in Christianity, we do not continue to embrace creeds that were crafted in the 4th century. The Unitarian side of our blended faith family has historically embraced deism, transcendentalism, humanism, not only as practices informed by a rooted faith, but as new possibilities that could transform that faith. I would venture to say, I feel like I have to whisper this part, I would venture to say, in case someone's listening, that although we call ourselves Unitarian Universalists, our current theology cannot be said to be either Unitarian or Universalist in the classic sense. The theologies and shared purposes that created our blended faith family have changed over time. Yet, there are some elements that are foundational to who we are and who we are becoming. I would say probably that last phrase is the thread that goes through who we are becoming. I've been tossing around terms like theology as if we all know what they mean, and that we might share those meanings. There's a tired old joke about Unitarian Universalism that kind of rings true. Ask 5 UUs what it means to be a UU, and you'll get 10 different answers. And I'm being conservative there. According to Dr. Anthony Pinn, a contemporary humanist theologian who has been very influential in Unitarian Universalism, the word theology has changed over time. Translated from the Greek, it literally means the study of God. But Dr. Pinn asserts, theology is about what it means to be human in the cosmos, how we are related to all that is, including that which we hold to be most sacred. Theology is about what it means to be human in the cosmos. Just a moment ago, I made the assertion that the theologies and shared purposes that created this blended faith family have changed over time, and that there are some core elements that are absolutely foundational to who we are and who we are becoming. The wording might change, but the concepts have remained constant. So allow me to provide a small example of that. In Alice Blair Wesley's Men's Lecture series, written in 2000, she updates the language of the covenant our Puritan ancestors created in 1629 as they came to a new land. Though our knowledge is incomplete, our truth partial, and our love uneven, from our own experience and from the witness of our faith tradition, we believe that new light is ever waiting to break through individual hearts and minds to illumine the ways of humankind, that there is mutual strength in willing cooperation, and that the bonds of love keep open the gates of freedom. Therefore, we pledge to walk together in ways of truth and affection as best we know them now or may learn them in days to come, that we and our children may be fulfilled, and that we may speak to the world with words and actions of peace and goodwill. Did you notice? No talk of God. Well, that was probably understood as foundational and therefore unnecessary to include, but still, not even a euphemism that could be understood to be outside of, beyond the circle of inclusion. This covenant is a celebration of trust, and it feels very, very current. We began our service today with a chalice lighting with words from Reverend Julianne Lepp. We seek our place in the world and the answers to our heart's deep questions. As we seek, may our hearts be open to unexpected answers. May the light of our chalice remind us that this is a community of warmth, of wisdom, and welcoming of multiple truths. That would be kind of a cool mission and vision statement now, wouldn't it? So let's return for a moment to the story from our Time for All Ages. I think the story is an invitation to understand the importance of coexistence, of pluralism, not in a relationship of codependence, but of interdependence. You knew there'd be a quiz from last week, didn't you? So in the story, the wolf did not need to be tamed or killed. It needed to be understood. I'm going to say something radical that might just push against your brain. Wolves aren't predators by nature. We've named them predators. That's our construct. That's our view of the world. Wolves are wolves, and they eat what they eat. Do they think of themselves as either predators or the good guys? They do not. They are wolves. They do what wolves do. And wolves have and guard territory. So here's a question: who was there first? The wolves' ancestors or the people of the village? I don't know. I don't have an answer for that, but it's a good question, which is why I asked it. So what do you think happens after the end of the story? The villagers have accommodated themselves to having a wolf in their midst. The wolf is not evil. It does not reason the way humans do. It has a need, and it seeks to meet that need. The villagers, looking after their own need for safety, meet the wolf's need for sustenance. So then, in our post-story wonderings, imagine that another wolf from a different pack comes sniffing around. Do you think maybe that village wolf is going to chase that other one away? It's going to guard its territory, right? Now imagine that a mountain lion comes sniffing around. I'm going to say same result. A little bit of protection. Does the wolf know it's protecting the humans? I don't know wolf psychology. But he's definitely taking care of its territory. So then, what happens when the wolf has pups? Will they not become slightly domesticated by living in close proximity to humans who feed and tend to them? I don't think it'll take many generations before the humans no longer experience these new slightly domesticated wolves as enemies. Maybe they become best friends and help one another. So the meme says it's a dog lounging on a chair saying, "We were wolves once, wild and wary. Then we noticed you had sofas." Can we nudge this story into our own experience? Who are you today? Are you a wolf who's just looking for a little sustenance and a community to care for you? Are you a fearful villager hidden behind a theological door that is locked to keep away any new ideas or ways of being that might upset that fragile balance that you've maintained for decades? I think we're all a little bit of both. New ideas are difficult at first until we see how they fit in our own theology. We can care for and nurture one another. Everyone has a place and a purpose. Pluralism is defined as a condition or system in which two or more states, groups, principles, sources of authority, etc., coexist. So our story, I think, was a bit more about coexistence than we may have first thought. So many times when we think about pluralism, we think about religious pluralism, about the many possibilities that can be found within, under this big tent that we call Unitarian Universalism. If you wonder what those might be, you can find them in the front of the gray hymnal on your own time. Don't check now. They are opposite the page with the current principles, which happened just before the first song. There's a whole bunch of stuff before that. Go to the first song, turn back one page, ta-da, you're there. So we call those our sources, those various religious traditions that have informed Unitarian Universalism, or at least Unitarian Universalists. So we depend upon our own direct experience of transcending mystery and wonder. We look to the words and deeds of prophetic women and men who inspire us to justice. We cherish Jewish and Christian teachings that tell us about God's love and encourage us to love others and to love our neighbors as ourselves. We embrace the wisdom of world religions that open us up to new possibilities. We embrace the wisdom of science and reason. And we try to live in balance with the earth because of earth-centered traditions and how they have lifted us out of our anthropocentrism, human-centricness. I could see it written in my eyes, and I just had to say it as slowly as I could. So that's what we usually think about when we think about pluralism. Is there room for all of that? Can I still do the spiritual practices that inspire me from Buddhism or from Hinduism or fill in the blank? If love is at the center, it fits. So that is also pluralism. So in her theological reflection on the proposed changes to Article 2 of the bylaws of the Unitarian Universalist Association, I know that sounds like a lot of governance talk. It's just context. Okay, so if you're like, what is this? It's all right. So in this reflection, written by my colleague, Reverend Dr. Sherry Prudhomme, she says this about pluralism. We declare that there are many paths to the sacred. We hold fast to the notion that one religion does not hold the truth for all time, not even Unitarian Universalism. We maintain that a free, open, and respectful dialogue is one of the primary ways our theological perspectives evolve and grow. And then she says this about love at the center. We affirm the power of love to heal what is broken, to hold us together across pluralities of diverse religious practices and beliefs, to hold us when things fall apart, to grow our capacities, and to guide us as we return again and again in our families and communities to side with love. The proposed changes to the principles and purposes have been artistically rendered into a flower shape by Tanya Webster, with love at the center and each of the core beliefs demonstrated as a flower petal surrounding and secured by love. It's lovely. And it has certainly found some traction among UUs who longed for something more graphic and less wordy than the current list that's found in our gray hymnal. In this graphic, and by extension, as part of the theology it represents, pluralism is one belief among others: justice, equity, transformation, interdependence, generosity, and pluralism. But I suggested at the beginning of this reflection that perhaps pluralism might take a starring role as a foundational theology instead of simply one of several supporting actors. And so I offer my thoughts in a rendition, which is my first attempt using Google Draw. And I do this not to make any statement about the graphic and verbiage that so many UUs put heart and soul into creating and honing into a message about our faith. I offer it as my deeply personal aspiration that has been deeply informed by the process our faith movement has been undertaking and will continue to engage, a process of pluralism. So in my rudimentary graphic, I've used the shape of a donut with love at the coffee hour's coming, by the way, with love at the center and pluralism as the circle that surrounds it. So this is my thought. If pluralism can be a theology, then it embraces, it holds those other, I've called them the embodiments, inside it. And so we find justice, equity, transformation, interdependence, and generosity, responses to the healing power of love that create and make possible the many colors and flavors of pluralism. I don't expect that this is going to be like, wait, UUA, let's do Michelle's donut. That is not the purpose. This is me putting my thoughts into a shape that helped me to make sense of it. So whether pluralism is a flower petal or a donut, I believe that a theology that includes pluralism, that embraces difference and celebrates and nurtures coexistence, is exactly what the world needs from us. It is our highest calling. I know nobody carries money anymore, but e pluribus unum. I can't even say it. I should have practiced that. The words on your money. Out of many, one. As we honor and embrace difference, we are made whole. You know what time it is. It's time to sing. So I invite you to rise and body your spirit as we sing our song in response, We Would Be One.
Which
standing as we extinguish our chalice and close this portion of the service. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again. Please be seated for a few short announcements.
Thank you. As our service draws to an end, our service to the world is ready to begin. Let me tell you about some of the opportunities to connect and serve in the days to come. It's not on here, but I'm just going to riff a little bit. There are some places, there are some clipboards in the back where you can see some opportunities to serve. So on your way out, check them out. There's some empty spaces that we would love to have people join in and find opportunities to serve. So do check that out. Please be sure to join us in coffee and conversation immediately following the service. We meet in the Emerson room, and so then we might suggest you come back out here and look at these things after you have some coffee, if that's up for you. But if you need a place for quiet conversation, you can bring your coffee into the atrium and the growing space at the back of the chapel.
I know, you love UU Amherst. You do. And some of you are thinking about, maybe I'm ready to become a member. Wonderful. So after the service today, go get your coffee, and about 20 minutes to whatever the next hour is, 12, meet me in the atrium, which is where all the plants are off the side of the chapel here. And just find out about what it means to become a member of this beloved community. I brought cookies, so. But if you're already a member, you're going to have some of the splendid desserts that were left over from last night's derby party. I peeked in the kitchen. Oh, you're in for treats. And people who are having coffee with me, bring treats too. You don't have to just settle for my little cookies. But thank you to the wonderful team that works so hard to create these splendid events, and in this case, to help us raise funds to keep being the fabulous UU Amherst, 70 years old here in the town of Amherst. So I just did 3 announcements at once. So I will end with, Kim Diana, come do one.
Mark your calendars. Speaking of Article 2 and all the stuff that she said that maybe you were blanking out in the middle of, if you want to learn more about Article 2, the proposed changes to Article 2, I'm a lawyer, the bylaws are really cool, but it's not about the bylaws. It's about what's happening within our faith. Come learn about it at a potluck on Wednesday, May 22nd, starting at 5:30. You can sign up for that potluck back in the place. You can also sign up to volunteer for other stuff. So please go ahead and check that out. As always, see the wonderful church newsletter, the forward, for information regarding upcoming services and other events. We invite you, all of you, to participate in supporting the mission and ministry of UU Amherst with your financial gifts here at the end of the service. You'll find a green basket that you can put, the kind of money that has E Pluribus Unum on it, right in the back. You can do that, or checks. Or you can give online, or text your gift to the number on the screen, or go to the website and give online, which is what I do. Your gifts and participation are so important because we pick fruit from trees we did not plant. We drink water from wells we did not dig. And this is as it should be, so long as we dig and plant for those who come after us. It's your generous giving that supports the work of this beloved congregation. So now please rise in body and spirit as we sing our closing blessing and remain standing afterwards for the benediction.
Travel light and travel easy till I see you once again. Travel light and travel easy, and remember I'm your friend. May the road rise up to greet you as you leave your past behind. I will think about you gently, and I'll hold you. Twinkle your eyes. Travel light and travel easy till I see you once again. Travel light and travel easy, and remember I'm your friend. As we leave this place, let's be the welcome we crave. Open hearts, arms outstretched. Let's embody radical welcome, unquestioning love. Let's be the welcome we crave, deeply hearing voices and hearts. Let's be the welcome we crave, enriching understanding. Let us embody the community we crave. Go in peace, make a difference.